We often hear a simple story about addiction. It is a story about personal strength and moral fiber. People will say that if you truly want to change, you just need to try harder. They believe the secret to overcoming a powerful addiction lies in a single, formidable tool: willpower. This idea is incredibly common in our culture. It sounds logical and even empowering. It suggests the power to change is entirely within your own mind. However, this common belief, while well-intentioned, is not the complete picture. The truth is far more complex and, thankfully, far more hopeful. Science shows this. Real-life stories show this. Willpower is certainly part of the equation, but it is rarely, if ever, enough on its own. This essay aims to gently bust this pervasive myth. Instead of framing recovery as a test of inner resolve, we will reframe it as a strategic process. Understanding how willpower actually works, recognizing its inherent limitations, and building a comprehensive system of support around it. Relying solely on willpower is like trying to build a house with only a hammer. A hammer is an essential tool. Nails, wood, a saw, a detailed blueprint. Similarly, overcoming addiction requires a full toolkit. This perspective isn't about excuses. It's about being smarter and more effective. It shifts the focus from blame and shame to practical, actionable strategies. The danger of the willpower myth is a cycle of shame and failure. When someone tries sheer force of will and stumbles, they're told they didn't want it badly enough. That can lead to hopelessness and self-blame. People may conclude they're fundamentally flawed or weak. The reality, they were set up for an uphill battle without the right equipment. By moving past this narrative, we open the door to a more compassionate, effective path to recovery. One that acknowledges the biological realities of addiction and leverages a variety of tools to create lasting change. Our goal is to explore those other tools. We will look at the science behind addiction and see how it physically changes the brain's wiring, making the pull incredibly strong. Practical steps. Redesign your environment to remove triggers. Build new, positive habits to replace destructive ones. We'll cover therapy, social support from friends and family, and medical interventions to manage cravings and rebalance chemistry. Recovery is not about superhuman willpower. It's about building a system that makes right choices easier and wrong choices harder. It's a journey of small, consistent steps, not one giant leap of will. The image metaphor here is clear. A single tool isn't enough, you know. So, what exactly is this thing we call willpower? In simple terms, willpower is the mental energy you use to make conscious choices, especially when those choices are difficult. It is the force that allows you to resist a short-term temptation in order to achieve a long-term goal. Think of it as the brain's executive function in action. When you decide to skip a second piece of cake to stick to your health goals. When you force yourself to go to the gym after a long day at work instead of collapsing on the couch. It is a fundamental part of self-control and is essential for achieving almost anything meaningful in life. It helps us delay gratification. It helps us regulate our emotions. It helps us stay focused on our priorities. From a neurological perspective, willpower is not some vague, mystical force. It has a physical home in the brain. The primary region responsible for this type of self-control is the prefrontal cortex, located right behind your forehead. This is the most evolved part of the human brain. It is in charge of planning. It is in charge of decision-making. It is in charge of moderating social behavior. Immediate reward, like a cigarette. Long-term benefit, like better health. Your prefrontal cortex is what weighs the options and helps you make a deliberate choice. It acts like the CEO of your brain, keeping impulsive, primitive urges in check. However, a critical aspect of willpower that is often overlooked is that it behaves like a muscle. It can be strengthened with consistent practice. It can also become fatigued from overuse. Every decision you make throughout the day, no matter how small, draws from this limited reserve of mental energy. This phenomenon is sometimes called decision fatigue. Stressful choices at work, managing difficult conversations, resisting minor temptations. This is why many people find it easier to stick to a diet in the morning, but give in to cravings late at night. Their mental energy for self-control has simply run out, making them more susceptible to impulsive choices. Understanding this limitation is the first step toward a more realistic approach to change. It explains why telling someone with an addiction to just try harder is often ineffective advice. They are not just facing one big decision to quit, they are facing a relentless barrage every single hour of every single day. Their willpower muscle is in a constant state of exhaustion. These factors further deplete this precious resource. Willpower is a valuable asset, but it is a finite one. To truly grasp why willpower is not enough, we must understand what addiction is from a biological standpoint. Addiction is not a moral failing. It is a complex, chronic disease that fundamentally changes the brain. When a person repeatedly engages in a rewarding behavior, using a drug, gambling, the brain's reward system is activated. The nucleus accumbens, the ventral tegmental area, releases a powerful neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine creates pleasure and teaches the brain to repeat the behavior. That was good. Let's do that again. This process is normal. It motivates us to seek food and social connection. Addictive substances and behaviors hijack this system, causing floods of dopamine beyond natural rewards. The brain is overwhelmed. Over time, it adapts, producing less dopamine, reducing receptors. Tolerance. The same substance brings less pleasure. Even meals and loved ones can feel dull. The person now needs the substance just to feel normal. The National Institute on Drug Abuse documents circuit changes impacting judgment, decision-making, learning, memory, and behavioral control. The prefrontal cortex, seat of willpower, weakens, while craving and habit circuits strengthen. A powerful go signal and a weakened stop signal create a neurological trap. Craving can feel as urgent as air or water. Expecting willpower alone to overcome this is to misunderstand the disease. It is like asking someone with a broken leg to win a race by simply wanting it more. The myth that you can conquer addiction if you just want it badly enough is not only scientifically inaccurate, but also profoundly damaging. It places the entire burden of a complex neurobiological condition squarely on the individual's shoulders. When this approach fails, the person feels like a failure, guilt, shame, relapse. They may stop seeking the help that actually works. The problem is not a failure of character, it is a failure of strategy. Relying on willpower alone is like trying to stop a tidal wave with a bucket. These are the conditions under which willpower fails, often constant companions in addiction. Even quitting itself is stressful. A perfect storm, peak demand, minimal resources. Withdrawal further drains resolve, making immediate relief hard to resist. Studies show willpower is limited and depletes. Ego depletion research by psychologists like Roy Baumeister. Saying no early makes it harder later. By day's end, reserves can be empty. A more intelligent approach conserves willpower, reduce decisions, minimize triggers, make the desired behavior the path of least resistance. Proactively change environment, build supportive habits, and seek outside help. Willpower is valuable. Deploy it strategically. One of the most powerful steps is to consciously redesign your environment. Our surroundings profoundly influence behavior. Cues can support goals, or silently sabotage them. Make good choices easy and bad choices difficult. Audit your space. If alcohol is the issue, remove it from the home. Beer in the fridge, wine racks, even decorative openers. Increasing friction creates a buffer between urge and action. If you must drive to get it, you gain time to think, call a friend, or use another coping strategy. If it's within reach, depleted willpower stands little chance. Add positive cues. Leave running shoes by the door. Put a book on your nightstand. Place a water bottle on your desk. These prompts nudge desired behavior and reduce mental effort. You're outsourcing motivation to your environment. Temporarily avoid high-risk places. Clean your digital feeds. Add inspiring recovery stories and resources. Be proactive. the architect of your life. Habits are the invisible architecture of our daily lives. Automated, low-willpower behaviors make life easier. Science shows don't just stop a bad habit, build a better one in its place. Removing a behavior leaves a void a craving will try to fill. Every habit follows a loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. You don't need to eliminate the cue or craving. Focus on changing the response. When stress hits after work, choose a 10-minute walk. Earn calm and accomplishment. Start ridiculously small. Small wins build momentum and self-efficacy. Don't fight a powerful craving with monumental effort. Redirect into a tiny positive action. The goal isn't instant overhaul, but casting votes for who you want to become. Each repetition strengthens new neural pathways. The new habit becomes more automatic. Small, consistent actions compound into transformation. The walk instead of a drink avoids harm and builds a positive identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who handles stress by exercising. Your new habits become part of who you are. The process is gradual but sustainable. You're not relying on finite willpower. You're rewiring your brain, one small intentional action at a time. Humans are fundamentally social creatures. We thrive on connection. We heal in community. Addiction breeds isolation. Shame and secrecy cut people off from loved ones. Connection is a powerful catalyst. Breaking isolation moves beyond the lonely battle of willpower. Support comes in many forms: family, friends, therapists, support groups. Ask for specific, practical help, like a friend on call during high-risk times. Connections provide accountability, encouragement, and remind you you're not alone. Peer support, AA, NA, Smart Recovery, offers safe spaces, shared wisdom, and structured programs. Hearing your story in someone else's voice is powerful. Therapy is a cornerstone. CBT helps identify triggers, challenge thoughts, and build coping skills. A therapist is an objective guide, tailoring a plan and navigating ups and downs. Seeking therapy is strategic strength, not weakness. Medical interventions, especially for opioids and alcohol, can rebalance brain chemistry and reduce cravings. Global and clinical guidelines endorse medication-assisted treatments as essential components. Medications can ease withdrawal, blunt reward, and stabilize disrupted circuits, creating a window to build change. Basic self-care fortifies willpower. Sleep restores control. Nutrition stabilizes mood. Movement reduces stress. Tending to sleep, food, and movement rebuilds your brain's capacity for self-regulation and defense. The willpower myth frames recovery as a single battle you either win or lose. That all-or-nothing mindset is fragile and erases progress after slips. Recovery is a journey, not a destination. A long-term process of learning, growing, healing. Forward momentum, detours, lessons. Success isn't perfection. It's consistency and direction. Small, positive choices every day. Success is choosing a walk over a drink, calling a friend when cravings hit, showing up to your group, getting good sleep. Process focus builds confidence and resilience. Slips become data, opportunities to refine strategies. See yourself as a strategist, assembling a team of tools. Your team includes new habits, environment design, friends, therapist, and self-care routines. Willpower is on the team, but not the star expected to win alone. Protect it. Deploy it strategically at key moments. Beating addiction is possible. The path is intelligence, strategy, and support. Change your environment. Build better habits. Lean on others. Care for body and mind. This works because it changes your brain and behavior from the ground up. There is always hope, and help is always available.